Well, welcome to another edition of Try Knoxville. Mike Roberts with you again. Our second episode last week worked out really well. Not even really putting it out there that much, but had over 1,000 views for the first time out, so we're really happy with that. We decided to bring in another Knoxville native, if you will, but representing the county side of life a little bit, Dan Finley with the Marion County Fair Board. I'll tell you what, things have really progressed out here at the Marion County Fairgrounds, and let's start off with when you came in. I don't remember what year it was, but you came to me and said, "Hey, buddy, I'm thinking about running for the fair board."
Yeah.
I think I asked, "Are you crazy?" at that time, because there is a lot of work involved in that.
There is a lot of work. I think it was 9 years ago I got on the fair board, I believe. I'm not sure. So I got on the fair board and wasn't sure what it all took to be a part of it, what you had to do, what the job entailed. And there wasn't ever any explanation either, so it was kind of a learn on the fly type of deal. The board's made up of 24 people. It's voted on each year. Every term is a 3-year term. You have to be a member of the Marion County Fair Association in order to vote on board members. So in order to be a Marion County Fair Association member, all you have to do is go into the office before October 1st and get registered. And registered, in order to be registered, you have to be either a landowner, a property owner, a business owner in the county,
right,
or have a residence in the county. So it's pretty easy to do. All you got to do is go in and get signed up. Takes about 5 minutes to sign up if you really want to vote. I've been on for around 9 years. The first couple of years was kind of a learning process. It's out there an awful lot.
You still are?
Yeah, I still am out there quite a bit. We've got a lot going on. For the first 8 years, I was on there's 3 different committees. You have the race committee, you have the fair committee, and then we have an improvement committee. Right. So the race committee takes care of everything race related. Fair committee takes care of everything fair related, and improvement committee takes care of the grounds and what needs to happen. Everybody works kind of intertwined. All 24 of us do each separate thing, but we're all together as one. So on work day, all 24 members are there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're working on racetrack stuff or working on improvement stuff. Your committee gets together, designs it, estimates it, figures out what's going to happen to cost or whatever, and then it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Everybody show up.
Yep, exactly. So like here recently, we've had several big projects going on here recently, and such as like we're paving the main road off of Highway 14,
right, from
Highway 14 clear back to the sale barn, the show barn, which is a pretty big project.
Sure.
No one really understands how much money it takes to keep the place up. It's a pretty major.
Let's go back to that money thing a little bit. That strip right there that they're just doing. I took some pictures of that. We're going to show them here in a little bit too. But let's talk about just that particular part. That doesn't seem like that much. But we're talking concrete. I mean, you're in construction. Yeah. I've done concrete. I mean, it's not a cheap bid.
No. I mean, you're talking $170,000 to $190,000 depending on what we end up doing there. And then on top of that, everybody just sees the concrete.
Right.
Where we had to hire someone to come in and replace a water line. I mean, why cover up a water line when later on you'd have to come back and change that out, and you'd have to bore, which would cost more money. So, yeah, there's a lot of hidden things that people don't see. The last couple years, we've put a lot of time and effort into the North Campground. Mm-hmm. New electrical out there, which is, that's a huge cost. Talking $80,000, $90,000, $100,000.
And unless you drive actually into the campground on the other side of the hill, you don't see it.
You see nothing. You're like, man, what are these guys doing? They're just parking campers out there collecting money. Well, not the case. It takes a lot of gravel to keep the roads up. I mean, there's a couple miles worth of gravel roads out just in that North Campground alone. Other projects we got going on, big things this year are new elevator. When I say new elevator, I don't mean an additional elevator. It's a new elevator in the current shaft, which is another huge amount of money. That project alone was $110,000 to replace that elevator.
I don't think people realize how old that elevator is. What, 1997 was that put in? Right?
Yeah, right around there. It's when the suites were put in. So so that's a big cost. And then on top of that, we wanted to, I don't know if it was last year or the year before when we lost the electricity out at the racetrack.
Right.
Lighting was a big issue. We had people in the suites, people in the stands, no lights. So along with the elevator, we've gone ahead and put in an emergency backup generator so we can power the elevator, because we put our handicapped people up onto the second level with the elevator. Well, they were stuck. So we put in that backup generator to power some emergency lighting and the elevator in case of a power outage. We can still get people down.
Right.
So that's a big one. Along those lines, in front of the grandstands, the two old 1940s red ramps are gone.
Right.
Yank them out, put in a new up to code ramp on front of the grandstands, which will be a really nice addition. You see a lot of people pushing those wheelchairs up there, and I was always worried to death someone was going to lose one and roll back.
Pretty steep.
Yeah, very steep. So, but this one meets code. It's ADA compliant, which is a great thing. And so, other than that, we've put all kinds of fencing. Of course, when we do improvements, our number one issue that we look at is safety.
Right.
John McCoy's a huge advocate for safety at Knoxville, which is a great thing. I mean, that's what we got to have, someone in charge who really wants to make sure that things are safe for everyone out there. Keeps the fans happy and keeps our insurance people happy, because that's another huge cost to the Marion County Fair Association.
Sure. You mentioned improvements as far as the drive and everything else, but also last year a new bathroom there back over the horse barns. The 4-H people were ecstatic about that. I know that.
Yeah. The new bathrooms are a great addition. Showers at the fairgrounds were always kind of a jaunt. You had to, from the back campground, you always had to trek up to...
Kind of the walk of shame sometimes, too. So.
That's right. You always had to walk up either to the Dyer Hudson or to the block bathrooms. So, yeah, we put in that new, beautiful, big shower house and restroom. It's not it can't be scheduled as a storm shelter. The only reason is because it doesn't have the windows that make it a storm shelter. Other than that, the complete structure is concrete. There's a tornado and I'm at the fairgrounds, I'm going to that building.
You'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. As opposed to underneath the grandstands where it used to be at all the time. So
that's right.
That always got me guys like, wow, this is not the safest place in the world underneath these grandstands. But, you live and you learn, and fortunately nothing bad ever happened with that. So other improvements going on, and you mentioned some of the fencing thing, and we'll get back to that. But let's go on to that. A couple years ago, local driver Alan Zoot decided to try and go out to Highway 14. And major improvements there, not only just new fencing, but raise the fence as well.
Yeah, so the fencing I was talking about that we were working on this year is actually chain link fence in the infield to keep fans and drivers away from the racetrack. In Zooter's case, the deal was he went out of the ballpark. We didn't have high enough fencing.
Right.
Who would have ever thought a guy could launch that high?
Yeah.
So as a committee, as improvement committee, and mainly John McCoy is the one that came up with it. We extended that fencing, put all new poles, and extended fencing up 4 to 6 foot all the way around the entire racetrack.
Right.
It's angled in to try to keep what could fly out, to try to keep it inside of the park. And that does a couple things. It protects our fans. It protects our drivers. I mean, if we can keep them in the race facility, we got quicker response to get to them as with our first out crew. And then also the people driving down the highway. And you remember the semi getting hit with a tire. Was it that wreck that it got hit with the
actually,
tire?
the semi got hit by a dirt caught on that one, but we've had tires hit cars before. Celebrate
hit
Church.
The church.
Yeah, Celebrate Church.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of projects. Driver safety and fan safety is always our number one priority. I mean, it has to be. You know more than anyone the risks that we take in the sport that we love, but it's something that hopefully we can keep as safe as possible. That's kind of our goal.
Knoxville Raceway is known worldwide, and Marion County Fair does a great job supporting Knoxville Raceway and getting the promotional stuff out. As far as the local level, though, one of the things I want to talk to you about, and although Dusty's in charge of it now, you were the guy on the fair committee that kind of got things launched more towards the concert series, if you will, and also some more events, different type of events, even pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to bring that up or not, but
yeah. So my first couple of years, like I said, while I was on the board, it was a learning time for me, and they felt comfortable enough with me to put me in charge of the fair committee. Like I said, we have 3 committees. Right now, the people in charge of the committees are Dusty DeMoss, was in charge of the fair.
Right.
Jim Bob Darnell is our new person in charge of the improvement committee, and Art Worrell is in charge of the race committee. So those are our committee chairman for each of the committees. But yeah, so when I was on the fair committee, we heard a lot of complaints, and I opened it up. I used social media a lot, which was something new to the fair board.
Right.
I mean, when I got on, I was the youngest guy on there, and I was 40 years old. Or not quite 40, but anyway, yeah, I was the youngest guy, and social media wasn't that popular with the fair board because they'd always received a lot of negative impact to them. So I opened it up to social media when I got at the fair committee chair and said, hey, what do you guys want? How can we make it better? What are your thoughts? And you get a lot of craziness. You get, we got to get Garth Brooks. Well, you come up with $1 million and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Sure.
But, so yeah, I wanted a concert. I'm a concert guy. I love going to music festivals. And so yeah, we looked at the concerts and got the right people involved. First couple of years we had Hairball. It was a great thing. We've done country, we've done old rock, and it was great. It was kind of a building experience, Of course, I wasn't around the first Knoxville Nationals, but I'm sure it wasn't a sellout crowd, and everybody loved it. Concerts kind of become the same way. We had a big hit the first one, and there's been up and down years all the way through there. Building. Last year was a great concert. Dusty put on the concert last year. It was his first year being in charge of the fair. They did a great job. Brought in some 90s country acts and it worked. So this year, going with the same thing.
Same format, 90s country, Lone Star's coming in.
Yeah, we got Lone Star and
Craig Morgan
coming in. It should be a great show. So yeah, the concert's kind of a building thing. We're trying to, and we don't want to settle. We want to continue to grow that.
Right.
Same with all our events. Last year we started the USAC, the non-wing nationals at Knoxville, and we want to grow that event. We don't want to just put on a race so that the non-wings can go. We want to be the premier event in the world. So same thing with our concert. We eventually want to get to where Garth Brooks wants to come play at Knoxville.
Hey, he's doing stadiums. We're outdoors.
He is.
Why not?
That's right.
We got
that's
the big,
right.
The big Toronto over there in the corner. So that's
yeah, so we got goals, but it's an incremental process.
Right.
We got to get
other events going on. Yeah. We'll talk about it with Dusty because I'm gonna have Dusty on later on this year. But you guys back to the pro wrestling thing. This is the 4th or 5th year doing that. You've got me roped into that thing several years in a row, and I enjoy it. The kids love it. Yeah. What people don't understand is that costs the fair money. It's not a paid ticket deal. It's a freebie for the people to come watch.
Right. That's exactly right. And I don't know how many Marion County people understand that most county fairs that you go to, you're going to pay a gate admission.
Right.
We don't do that. We try to treat our Marion County residents and the surrounding counties as well to a fair that they can bring their family to and be financially okay.
I'll pick on Jones County Fair. I go up there at least once a year for a concert. Well, every year for concerts for the last 3 years. Anywhere from $65 to $85 a ticket. Okay. And it's $10 a person to walk through the gate. All right. And again, nothing disrespectful to those guys. They put on a great concert up there, but the size of their fairground is very tiny. The livestock is hardly there. They have a row of concession stands, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things people really don't think about, and I don't think that they're negative with it, but we have the most premier sprint car race in the world.
Right.
Knoxville Nationals. Jones County doesn't have that.
Right.
They do the concert. We do the Nationals.
That's why they're bringing in an act like Tim McGraw or something, because they're throwing all their money at the concert.
Yes, all their money is going at that.
Yeah.
Correct. But the financial impact of the Nationals to countywide, even the state,
right,
is a pretty big deal. the state looked at it and said, hey, we need to keep you guys. So that's why we were able to get some state funding to help out with these projects that we're doing.
And that's something we should talk about, because we've mentioned about the $170,000 to $190,000 concrete job. That's not taxpayer money. That's sales tax money coming back, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a sales tax, and it's not pay. We have to pay for it up front,
right?
As a racetrack, so we pay for it, and then we're up to $1.75 million, I believe, is the figure. Don't quote me on that, but yeah. So we pay for the project, and whatever sales tax that we would need to pay up to 1.75, we don't have to pay that to the state. It actually goes into a fund, and they'll give us back that money. So yeah, it was a great deal. The Newton Speedway has a similar deal, not quite the same, but
right.
But yeah, the state looked at that and said, hey, Knoxville Raceway has been great for the state of Iowa. They bring in a lot of tourists. Let's go ahead and support them and help them keep going with.
We talked about past improvements. We've talked about safety. We talked about everything else. What's on the future? What's the plan in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road? Because, again, we have a very nice facility, but we have some things that need replaced still.
We do have some things that need replaced. There's a couple of major things that we have been looking at. I don't want to say we have a 5 to 10 year plan, because we don't.
Right.
Because things come up.
Sure.
But we have some dreams and hopes. Additional suites are one thing that we've kind of looked at. Suites are sold out every year for the entire year. So that's something that we're looking at, is the possibility of adding suites and improving the ones that we currently have, upgrading them. We also, our grandstands, the grandstands have actually been built in like 3 to 4 sections.
Right, front stretch.
Yeah. Front stretch has like 3 sections, and then of course the back stretch. And those have to be kept up. So the main section of grandstands, I believe, was built in the 50s to 60s.
1954 started out here, so.
Yeah, and I think
for automobile racing, we should clarify this was actually football stadium, horse track in the past, so there could have been some stands there already.
Right. So yeah, that old section of grandstands is actually we brought in an engineer to go through and give us an idea of what we need to do to upgrade those. And I'm sure it's not going to be a cheap thing to improve those or to keep them up, even to where they're safe for everyone.
Right.
So yeah, that's a couple of the big things. Dirt on the racetrack. Everybody knows that we use Zook, the dirt that we want to use on our track, because we feel it's the best there is out there. Zook is very limited. You don't just go out to the lake and dig out a hole. In order to get that Zook, we have to do a lot of dirt tests, find out where the vein is running, get permission. We may have to buy property to get the.
We ran into a jam on that one time. Ended up with red dirt.
Yeah, we ran into red dirt.
Yeah.
A lot of sand in the dirt. So, yeah, that's another big one. I mean, it's a costly thing to keep the dirt up. We're looking at right now. Dusty DeMoss and John McCoy have a committee, and they're trying to find a vein so that we can get a massive amount of dirt stockpiles.
Fairground wise, as far as the fair coming up in July, gosh, we've replaced a few barns here, but there's still some work to do. I mean, one of the projects, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but it had to do, I think, with airflow through the barns you guys did here a few years back, too.
Yeah. So we added cupolas to the top of all the barns, and they've been great. The horse barn, it's really cooled it off pretty well. Last year, we added a cupola to the top of the rabbit and chicken barn. And we're going to go ahead and add an exhaust fan in that to help pull all the hot air out. So those are some of the things that we do for the fair. Also, we are looking at the possibility of building a new barn. Need to replace eventually, and
right.
Yeah, I mean, where's the money come from? We just got to keep selling tickets.
That's a lot of people don't understand. I mean, we're the diehards. We grew up racing. We understand racing, but for those that aren't the diehard racetrack, it's a racetrack in the middle of town. It's noisy, da-da-da-da-da. But the racetrack pays for everything that happens at the fairgrounds.
It does, yes. Yeah, we don't, right now.
Even that sales tax we talked about is through racetrack funds.
Yeah, it's all through racetrack funds. right now, almost every county in the state gets 30 to Jones County gets like 60, but most counties receive money from their state, from their county office.
Right.
Well, we could, but we've asked not to receive that because we just don't need it, and we understand that the county is in need of the money, and it helps keep them stimulated through their, what their projects are.
Sure.
So that's kind of nice that we're able to be self-funded and get the projects done that we need to do with our own.
Yeah, one of the purposes I started Try Knoxville is to promote Knoxville, and I mentioned the fact that Knoxville Raceway Marion County Fair does a great job promoting. As far as the Try Knoxville aspect, though, I do expect you to give me a heads up on all these new promotions coming up so we can help you guys out a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get the new building approved and you write the check out of it through all your money you make, I want to know about this. No.
Yeah.
But seriously,
that's something that we don't do very often. Marion County Fair Association does not toot their own.
No,
and people don't understand or know how much money and time and facilities that we actually donate to the community, to the county. There's
I look at every benefit. I look at every benefit that happens in this county and some outside the county of how many different tickets go out for donations.
Yeah,
that's money.
Tickets, straight up cash. They're involved with Pella, Knoxville, Twin Cedars, all the county schools, right. Pleasantville.
Scholarships.
There's scholarships. Yep. Yeah, scholarships going to kids.
My daughter got one.
Yeah. So
5 years ago.
Right. It's there's a lot. They just don't like to, like I say, toot their own horn, for lack of better words. And it's okay. Right. But people need to understand that the racetrack they're helping. I mean, they are doing a positive thing for the community and specifically the city.
How many more years for Dan Finley on the Marion County Fair Board? Now, I asked this because of two reasons. Hawkeye's graduated college. That's your oldest, Sierra. Okay. And I cannot believe Shadow graduates high school this year.
Yep. Yeah, she's going to graduate.
Maddie's graduate. I can't get that. She's going on to Indian Hills. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. When I got on, like I said, I was the youngest. And I don't know. I'd like to do 15 years, maybe 18 years.
Is this a question I should ask Brandy?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. But I do. I think it's good to get new people every now and then. And we do have 2 new people on the board this year. Judd Nelson just recently got elected, and so did Kern. Even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see new people coming in.
Kern has history out here too. And Judd does too from the racetrack, but
yeah.
Kern has generations of history out here.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I should clarify too, the reason I know your daughters is because I hauled them on a school bus 100 years ago, and I nicknamed them because Sierra always had Hawkeye everything on. And do you remember why I call Maddie Shadow?
Yeah, because she was always standing right behind Matt.
Yeah,
Sierra.
They'd be waiting in line. I couldn't see her. Like, wow. So, and to this day, she's a senior in high school, and I'll see her. Hey, Shadow, how you doing?
Oh, she still answers.
Oh yeah. She's going to Indian Hills softball. I guess it has to be. And Sierra went up north.
Yeah, she's in. She's working in Shakopee, Minnesota for Amazon.
Right. Pretty cool gig though. I saw her last weekend at the KRCO thing. So.
Yep. She likes to come back. Hopes to transfer back into the area eventually. But yeah, things are going good.
Maybe down the road, she manages marketing for down here.
Maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
Don't tell Kendra that, though.
Yeah, don't tell Kendra.
Exactly right.
She's still got some time.
Exactly. Hey, Dan, appreciate you coming in again. Let us know anything we can do to help because we want to promote Knoxville.
Great. Thanks for having me.
That wraps up this edition of Try Knoxville. You can tune in each and every week at tryknoxville.com. You can also hook us up through the Marion County Tribune website. We'll see you next time.